to Options Tender Weekend Edition. We have a lot to go through, but before we get started, go down to that bottom right hand corner, the Options Tender logo, subscribe. And also, I just want to let you know we are in a Discord all day, every day, just about. It's called The Option Guys. The link will be in the description. Okay, so this weekend we had a fearful week. We had a lot of things going on, starting to get a lot of bearish scenarios on Twitter, on Instagram, and even in the Discord. We're looking, a lot of people are looking to the downside. There are some opportunities to the upside, I feel, but I'm going to have to place myself in a very neutral spot. That means we're going to trade real small, real fast. We're not going to swing anything. If you are, you're just guessing. I think we're at about a 50-50 point. We are getting really extended in the market, but that doesn't matter. We can keep going. And I'll show you right here with the CNN. We were right about that 55 area for some time last week before, I believe. And just this week, we lost 10 points there. Starting to get a little fear. Is it a shot across the bow? Or is it something bigger than that? So let's look over the VIX. This is the VIX futures. I like to look at the VIX futures to see what's happening there. That's how I gauge what kind of hedging is going on at the time. This is the daily time frame. We're coming down in a huge wedge here. This wedge can extend much further. Getting a little closer. What happened last week? We had this ABC correction to the upside, meaning that that was our correction to the downside for the SPX. With that being ABC correction up, it just appears that we have more downside for the VIX. So that would mean that we have more upside for the SPX and for the market in general. And I can really see that argument because there are so many beat up tech stocks, the growth stocks, they're beat up. So, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw another week or two or, in the future to the upside before we get that big correction. But when you start seeing the VIX shooting up, breaking this downtrend line, then we have something huge happening. That's going to be a large move, and that move is going to be fierce. It's probably going to hit, somewhere between this 36 breaking out even further. Hell, we make new highs. I don't know that, but we just want to keep an eye on that. So that's just a little bit of clue that we may have some more upside, but we're going to stick neutral because there's also some clues to the downside. So let's go over to the SPX. We're going to pay attention a lot more to the SPX today than anything else. We're going to start with the weekly and head our way down to the 65. So on the weekly, you notice we had the divergence in the RSI. It may start to be playing out right now, but check out momentum. There's no divergence on that yet. We haven't crossed through. We're holding really well off of that 8MA. We pushed up. Still concerning that we're below. We're back into last week's range. It's a red candle, but we're holding the major trend line here from the March lows. From the coronavirus last year. We broke above this pivot, this rising pivot, and we haven't looked back since after we retested it. So we're really looking bullish on this scenario on the large scale. We may have to move sideways for a little bit. We may, just like this area, we may have to find our ground, move sideways, work the indicators off a little bit, and continue to move up because we had this large move. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 candles in a row where we're pretty much green to up, and we may have to consolidate after that. Let's move on to the daily. Get a little bit closer look. Daily trend is our friend. So again, this is our rising pivot. We came above there, retested it. Made higher lows, higher highs, and continued to the upside. And we may have this count here of 1, 2, 3, and then working on wave 4. But is this wave 4 over now? Is this wave 4 over and we're starting wave 5? Or is this an A, and then this is a B, and then we get a C to maybe retest this breakout area? And I put this fuchsia line here because we cannot break underneath this, this pivot here, or else invalidate our play. Or is this a much bearish, more bearish scenario where this is 1, 2, and next week, if this is the scenario, we're probably going to see an impulsive wave 3, 4, and 5 to maybe test this rising pivot once again and reset all the oscillators, and we'll start looking to the upside even more. I like that scenario, but I don't know if that's going to play out. That's very bearish. It's going to happen quick. And if we have this A, B, C, we might just be, you know, like I said, testing this pivot here. It's very difficult to tell with these wave counts in here, so we can't rely on them. We had our pullback, or we're going to pull back a little bit more. We're going to have to see. And going down to the 65-minute, this is going to give us a really good idea of what's going to happen next after we get a little bit more information. Okay, so getting real close in here, you have this rising pivot we came off of, and we're moving up. Now, if this could be, we'll start off with the most bearish scenario. This could be a 5 wave down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would indicate that we have definitely some more downside. This could be if with that being that would be wave 1, and then an ABC correction, wave 2, and then a large wave 5 to the downside. That's the most bearish scenario. The second bearish scenario would just be that this is a simple A, B, and just a C coming down possibly to this 39, just about that 4,000 area on the SPX. Now our bullish scenario would be that this is our ABC correction, and we're done there. And this is a 1, 2, 3. We'll probably pull back to the 30.2, 4, and possibly down a little lower. So 4, and then 5. We eke out that 5, close the gap, and then that would be our first wave 1 up. All right, 1, and then we'll come back to 2, and then work our way wave 3. That's the bullish scenario. The good thing about all of this is this pullback. If we get this pullback here, because we back tested the channel and the trend line, I do believe we'll pull back here. If we gap over, then we got a whole different scenario happening. But if we pull back here and we start to invalidate, if we come across this wave, possible wave 1, we start to invalidate that, that's going to give us a clue right away that our bullish scenario is probably wrong, and we're going to have to look at the very bearish or bearish scenario right then and there. Okay, we're definitely going to play puts here, or futures, micro futures, for the downside here, but we're going to take off risk immediately after the 38.2. That's what I mean by in and out, quick. And then we'll see what happens. We'll just wait to see if we bounce here and start a wave 5. I'm not worried about that wave 5 very much. Might get a scalp in here or so. And then we'll look for that wave 2 pullback. Okay, I hope I didn't confuse you with this information here. But overall, to sum this up, we're neutral. We have to get more information to see, are the bulls in control or are the bears? All right. Let's go over to the SPY. Here is a bearish, somewhat indicator. If we go over to the daily, I just want to show you the volume. The volume on this headed down increased tremendously. Okay, and then the volume decreased as we bounced, and we bounced pretty hard. So that's a very bearish sign. All right, so we have these bullish signs and these bearish signs, very confusing. That's why we are definitely neutral. And the MACD The MACD is definitely headed to the downside. We are above that 0 line. So that still puts us in an uptrend. We're technically in an uptrend, but the momentum is headed down. On the RSI came down from divergence and headed over. That divergence a little bit longer there. Same with this one. Divergence a little bit came down and came right to that 40 mark. And that's is very bullish to bounce off of that 40 mark. When you're checking out the RSI, most of the time through that downtrend or through the uptrend, you don't go any lower than the 40, just about that 40 area. When you're in a downtrend, that's when you usually don't go any higher than the 60 area. I know that most indicators are, most of the time you start off with your RSI, your green point is the 30, and your red point is the 70 for overbought. But when you're in an uptrend, you stop at the 70 or 80, even 80. So your range is usually from 40 to 80 in an uptrend. Okay, that's the difference if you really pay attention to RSI. And when you're in a downtrend, your top is around 60, and your bottom is around 20. Okay, you have to shift those. If you're moving sideways, then this works perfect for 3070. All right, a lot of information here. Last thing we're going to go through, we're going to go back to the SPX and check out the expected move for next week. We definitely were sideways for all that time. We popped to the upside, a bull trap, and broke to the downside, and possible bear trap. It's just the way it is, folks. It's a tough market right here, still headed sideways. Just the volatility increased, so we went higher and we went lower than in our sideways range. For next week, we're looking at about 78 points to the upside or 78 points to the downside. If you're not familiar with the options expected move, it's the options market. It gives us an estimate about how far the market's going to move. And kind of give us a plain range, and then we look at the nuances of how the market is contained or not contained in this area. So most of the time, we're within that area. We head to the upside or the downside of it, of the levels. And then in a sideways range, we don't quite hit it all the time, but we stay within the range. Now, when we get across the shot across the bow, and for example, we broke tremendously after gapping down through that expected move, 2 deviations to the downside, and that's a real bearish indicator. You know, that's another thing that we can look at as a bearish nuance. So this week, we'll see where we have to go. If we head to the downside, maybe test this point here and start moving up, or continue our bear trend down. Well, we didn't start a trend down. We'll call it a lower high. And if we create a lower low, we're in a whole new ball game. Then we'll have to see if that was it, A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Thanks for joining us here on this weekend edition of Options Tender. Good luck. We'll see you Monday. Finish off this great day, Sunday, and we'll see you in the morning. Goodbye.